June is Pride Month. What it's supposed to be is an acknowledgement of the lives and experiences and histories and culture of people in the LGBTQ community. It's supposed to be that. It's supposed to be a time of celebration. Unfortunately, it's also an opportunity for people who utterly despise the LGBTQ community to try to make their life even more of a living hell than they've been doing around the country for the last couple of years. And so prepare yourself. An LGBTQ flag was burned at an elementary school in Southern California this month ahead of a Pride event. Someone broke into Saticoy Elementary School in North Hollywood during the weekend that preceded May 22nd and burned the flag. That's awesome. It's being investigated by LAPD as a vandalism hate crime. And just a reminder, if it wasn't clear there, that happened here. That happened just like 10 miles away or 20 miles away or something. This wasn't in like the deep south or something. This sort of insanity, this constant attacks and harassment happen all over the country. There are no suspects at this time, apparently. There was a flyer that was posted on a social media account named Saticoy Elementary Parents. The account encouraged parents to keep their kids home and to protest against Pride Day Assembly, an inappropriate topic for our kids. Because all of that stuff that they started off this campaign on of they're coming to groom our kids is now just a generalized thing of any acknowledgement of the LGBTQ community in any form, a symbol, a word, a shirt, a comment, all of it is explicitly an attack against our kids at all times because it's way easier to justify this sort of crusade if you pretend that that is the truth. We've got worse, but Jessica, what do you think so far?
Yeah, it's always about the gays are grooming the kids to be gay. Having a rainbow flag means that you're forcing, homosexuality onto children. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Anyone who grew up in the United States of America and is queer, you grow up only watching movies where it's Cinderella getting saved by the Prince Charming. It's always heterosexual relationships. As a woman especially, you're taught that your value comes from how much you make a man happy, and you're taught to aspire to marriage and to be a good wife, and that's like the ultimate success you can have. So this idea that we groom kids to be queer in this country is insane to me. Like, this is why so many members of my community who are queer women don't end up coming out or even realizing that they're queer until their 20s. Like, it's crazy to me that they believe that children are groomed to be queer in this country. Children are groomed to be straight. We're just trying to say you have an option to love whoever you want to love, and that's okay. And that is too much for the right. They're intolerant. That's really what it is. They claim to love civil liberties, but they want to take them away for anyone who's dissimilar from them.
Yeah, look, honestly, while everything that you said was true, I think that a lot of the stuff that the right is constantly protesting against is way less aggressive than even that. Like you said, you have the option to love whoever you want. That might sometimes come up. Generally, it's just, hey, by the way, there are people who love these. That's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And anyway, like why is it that if a rainbow on a t-shirt in Target can make you gay, seeing all of the, all the straight people, seeing all the straight kisses, finding out that your teacher was getting, married in a heterosexual relationship, why doesn't that make you straight? It doesn't make any sense because it doesn't have to make any sense. This is all politically motivated. I want to go to just a little bit more insanity before we end. Let's jump into this.
Bud Light sales are down 25% and Coors Light sales are up 25%. Everybody moved from one brand to another. What happens when you're talking about a universal wave of companies all mirroring the Pride Month celebratory morality? What happens when that happens? How do you fight that? The answer here is going to be a bevy of lawsuits. And this is going to be legislation and lawsuits. Because what we are watching right now is illegal collusion between these companies. I've used the word collusion, but it actually is legal collusion.
Okay, now I understand if it's hard to follow what Ben Shapiro is saying there. He is, after all, talking very fast, and we have been told for years that he's an intellectual gladiator. But just to be clear, what he is saying is that because multiple different companies have engaged in some sort of pride merchandise, that is collusion between them. That this is unfair competition because they're all doing the same sort of thing. And I think that makes perfect sense. I think there will be class action lawsuits, and I think those will be followed by class action lawsuits against every coffee shop selling pumpkin spice lattes. Why exactly are they all doing that? I sometimes late in the year see a lot of pumpkins and a lot of skeletons decorating different businesses, and it kind of seems like they're working together. honestly, every business that puts up a Christmas tree or has anything like that, they're probably illegally colluding. This is the dumbest argument I've ever heard, and it's coming from Ben Shapiro, who supposedly went to law school, Jessica.
Yeah, I don't know who gave this Keebler Alpha Microeconomics textbook, but he needs to read past chapter 1 so he can learn about oligopolies in this country and what actually it means to run an independent business and make a decision to have certain branding or marketing. It might have nothing to do with another business. Maybe he should read a stats textbook as well and learn about other variables that can influence causal results.
Yeah. Or maybe he doesn't believe any of this, and he is caught between a rock and a hard place, which is the rock, I suppose, is him wanting to seem like an intellectual, like a philosopher. He's not just, like an out and out Christian fascist, like a Matt Walsh or whatever. He's like the thinking guy, and yet he desperately needs these people to still love him. So he has to attack the LGBTQ community, but he can't just say it's because he hates them and fears them. He can't do that. So I guess illegal collusion between Target and Bud Light. It doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't have to.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.